quite thinly. You've got to bear in mind this seed's quite delicate, so you don't want to be rubbing it hard. No, you've got to be gentle. And then normally what I do is I turn that round 90 degrees and go again. You get an even thing. I just wanted to show you, run out of time a little bit. Similar. Put a similar amount of seed in with that. Give it a stir. It does. I can't remember if I turned that already. This fine seed, it makes it a little bit easier because not only can you see just about see the seed, you can see the sand. It also is quite a good carrier. Anyway, it's a bit thin, you can always just go back and touch it up. So in theory, you've got a fairly even seed coat. Again, that seed quite possibly does need light for germination. There's no point in putting soil on top. Doesn't matter how clever you think you're going to be, you're never going to get the right amount on there. So using something like vermiculite or perlite, again we use the grip. We're watering overhead, we don't want that seed. If the perlite's on there and, I don't know, the can dribbles or the rose flies off, then it's all going to get pushed to one side. Or somebody's not concentrating and instead of just waving over it, they're sort of standing over it and everything. Yeah. So again, just gently, just a very fine covering. Now if that small seed does actually need light to germinate, it's got it. If it doesn't, it's not got, a lot of that seed won't quite have enough light. You know, you're edging your bets a little bit. It's normally 3 times as much, especially on some things. It can be that much greater on, you know, huge oak trees. So your best bet, gently, you don't want to damage the foliage. You can see, it's a bit dry, thanks for this. You can see actually the weeds, the seedlings' roots are actually down in the grip, so they're most probably about that sort of length if you get them out totally. So digging them out, you're only going to get about an inch's worth, you know, 3 centimetres at the most.
So you put a layer of grit in the bottom as well? I
don't.
Oh.
You didn't see me do that, did you?
Somebody else does.
I don't know why, I don't know how that happened. It's nothing to do with me. You'll actually sit later. You can tell him how to do it properly. That's what you were shown earlier. That's all done. You just gently tease those apart. Seedlings are quite resilient. So ideally this would be a little damper than this.
So ideally you would do that a little sooner?
Well, I'd water it first. I watered it this morning before I brought it in.
Oh.
So that's as much root as I got off that. But it's a, you know, it's a reasonable root ball. I mean, ideally those roots would have been down here. Yeah, it's gone beyond that stage of having cotyledons, but your cotyledon seeds would have been just above my finger, just at the base of those. So that's where you want your new soil level to be, which is pretty much where it was on these. Quite often you'll find on plants which have been germinated under glass, for instance, the there's a more of a stem between the actual root ball and the leaves. That's what they call the hydrocotyl, and that's where it starts to get etiolated, where it gets drawn from being a sound glass, because obviously more glass is reducing the amount of light that is available to the seeds, so that hydrocotyl gets longer, that stem gets longer, but you still want to get it buried down to that point where the cotyledons, the first seed or the first seed leaves, join, because that's what would happen in nature. This germinating outside under proper sunlight would germinate like that, because these have been germinated outside.
When did you start these seeds off? When would you have done?
I didn't.
Remember?
Didn't. This is some come out of the garden. 27th. Only. Right. It's deceptive. It's a year ago.
Oh. Oh. Wow.
Why these are only this size, I don't know. Possibly because they're being sown into number 1, so there's no food. The colour tells you it's been starved.
Yeah.
Possibly that. When you're pricking out lots of seedlings, say into a module or into boxes or into pots. Make a small hole, and you've got dibbers. And just gently, and one little thumb. You don't want to be going in. You can do it more of a peat compost because it will spring back. But if you're using a soil-based compost, don't overly compress it. Likewise, if you've got
You're going to have some loss with this, right? You're going to have some loss with this process.
No.
Excuse me? No, seriously. Yeah, yeah, that's what I figured.
I mean, these have been outside in a frame which isn't the cleanest. When I say cleanest, I mean weed free. Other things are germinating around it. We've got quite a lot of weed seed now germinating in this.
You didn't do this, we know.
You know.
Yeah.
It's got an erratic germination anyway. A lot of plants do. They will germinate over a period of time. Again, it's a part of their survival. They all germinate together, and then an animal comes along, or whatever, or something else happens, a flood. Then it's, they've all gone. Whereas they germinate over a period, quite often a week to 2 weeks. They're just their bets. It's limited to whatever they decide to put in the packet.
Well, you've got a very long seed length. I mean,
Yeah,
like this. So
don't worry.
You just
Yeah.
twirl it.
Put in everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So you made a bigger hole.
Well, vaguely. You would have to make sure that was where you'd finished, because it's not going to settle and all that soil is going to wash out when you've watered it. But by the time that's watered a couple of times, that's your soil level.
Yeah.
And that's, I must say, it looks about perfect. Actually quite long. A lot of people get scared of that. Brassicas are the same. But if you make sure your compost is moist when you start, the day before or the morning before, or that morning as you're going to do it in the afternoon, then that plant will be full of water. It's really quite terribly flexible. You can put a plant root in, you can fill that up with soil, put your plant in at the corner. I know we always say put in the middle, but if you start with the plant in the corner and sort of bring it across, put a bit of soil in to hold it there, and it will come back up in the middle, and you've lost all that hydrocotyl, you've lost all that stem, and the seed leaves are now at soil surface where they should be. And what that means is, sorry Fabian,
No, I'm all right.
2 minutes.
I might learn something.
Oh, you missed that bit. But what you'll get is, if that's sticking out of the ground, say that's the hydrocotyl, and that's sticking out of the ground, there's no buds in there, okay? It's got the ability to produce roots, but it's got no buds. But if they're sitting above the ground level, they're just going to desiccate, they're going to dry out and die, okay? That plant is all going to still do all its growing from there. It then gets top heavy. So it's very noticeable in brassicas, and they collapse. They come up again, That's why you should always earth up your brassicas. So you're earthing up round the stem. It can root out of that stem then, out of the hydrocotyl, into the soil and make for a stronger plant. From that first join, that first node where the leaves came from or come from, you'll also find it will branch. There'll be buds there. It will branch. It will just make for a much stronger plant.